दीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवं यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरमणिं रम्यजामातृयोगीन्द्रपादरेखामयं सदा तदा यत्तात्मसत्तादिं रामानुजमुनिं भजे लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सुनवे संसारभोगी सन्दष्टजीवजीवातवे नमः लोकगुरुं गुरुभिः सह पूर्वैः पूरकुलोत्तमदासम् उदारं श्रीनगपत्यभिरामवरेशौ दीप्रशयान गुरुञ्च भजेऽहम् लोकाचार्यकृते लोकहिते वचनभूषणे तत्त्वार्थदर्शिनो लोके तन्निष्ठाश्च सुदुर्लभाः जगदाचार्यरचिते श्रीमद्वचनभूषणे तत्त्वज्ञानञ्च तन्निष्ठां देहिनाथ यतीन्द्रमे. piLLai Lokacharya has mercifully given this beautiful prabandham named SrIvachana bhUshaNam. In the Taniyan Shlokams we saw in Jagadacharya Rachite Srimad Vachana Bhushane Tattvajnanancha Tanishtam Dehinata Yatindrame. In this Shlokam, we pray to Bhagavad Ramanuja to give the knowledge about the principles which are explained in SrIvachana bhUshaNam, which are explained by this Grantham is composed by piLLai Lokacharya, who is known as Jagadacharya. And we also pray for Anushtanam to remain in that particular Nishtai which is explained in this beautiful Grantham. It is only Bhagavad Ramanuja whose grace can grant us such knowledge and Anushtanam, practice. It is not uncommon in our Sampradayam to pray to Bhagavad Ramanuja for everything. Even in Periya Tirumozhi, one of the Taniyans, we pray to Bhagavad Ramanuja to get the meanings fully situated in our heart. The pasurams as well as the meanings of Periya Tirumozhi that is seen in Periya Tirumozhi Vyakyanam, in Periya Tirumozhi Taniyan also. Similarly, in Thiruvaimozhi Taniyan also, while praising Nammalvar, we also praise Bhagavad Ramanuja and pray to him that all of these meanings should remain in our heart forever. So Bhagavad Ramanuja's grace is very, very important in getting all of these knowledge as well as practice. In this particular SrIvachana bhUshaNam Divya Shastram, piLLai Lokacharya brings out many important aspects which are considered as the most essential principles of our Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam, the most essential principles of Shastram. We have two different viewpoints on how this Grantham can be classified. It can be classified into 6 parts, it can be classified into 9 parts depending on the meanings this Grantham is presenting. So two views are there, both are acceptable by to our Acharyas. As per the 6 parts which explain the 6 meanings, there is one Taniyan which highlight that. We have seen that Taniyan several times. Purushakara Vaibhavancha Sadhanasya Gauravam Tad adhikAriyakrityam Asya Sadgurupasevanam Haridaya Mahaitukim Gurorupaya Tanchayo Vachanabhushane Vadat Jagadgurum Tamashraye. In this Taniyan, the 6 principles which are highlighted in this beautiful Prabandham are highlighted. Purushakara Vaibhavam, that is the greatness of Pirati who is doing the role of Purushakaram, that is recommending and facilitating the Jivatma's union with Bhagavan. Jivatma reaching Bhagavan is facilitated by Pirati. Second aspect is Sadhanasya Gauravam, the greatness of Bhagavan who is the Upayam, who is the means for such benefit. Third aspect is Tad adhikAriyakrityam, the conduct of the qualified person who pursue this path of Bhagavan to reach Bhagavan. That is third section explaining the third meaning. Fourth section explains the aspect of serving the true Acharya, the real Acharya, who is coming under the proper parampara system, who is an authentic personality who teaches all of these to the disciples. So, how do the disciples serve such Acharya? That is explained in the fourth section of Sadguru Upasevanam. And then fifth section is about Bhagavan's Nirhetka Kripa, unconditional grace, costless mercy, which is the reason for our result. Whatever we are getting, that is because whatever good happens to us, that is because of Bhagavan's Nirhetka Kripa. That is explained in the fifth section. And finally, Gururupaya Tanchayo. Acharya is Upaya and Upeya. Both means and goal is Acharya only. Acharya is considered as the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Hence, Acharya has a special position, special role in our Sampradayam. So, the final section talks about Acharya being the means and goal both. So, these six principles are explained in this beautiful Prabandham. In this Grantham, we have seen up to 27th Sutram. We are seeing the meanings of these Sutrams, which are written by piLLai in this beautiful Prabandham. We are seeing the meanings with the help of Manavada Mamnigal's detailed commentary. Mamnigal has given beautiful commentary for this Prabandham. With the help of that only, we are able to understand at least a little bit of all the principles which are highlighted. It is a challenging task to explain this in English because of the sheer complexity of the subject matter. So, Adiyan is trying my best to explain the principles as best as possible. It is always easier to explain it in the original language, source language of the Grantham. So, naturally, explaining it in Tamil will be somewhat easier than doing it in English, but we are still trying by the grace of Advarsha Acharyas. Hopefully, there will be at least some aspect which is delivered correctly in this particular effort. So, we have seen up to 27th Sutram. After explaining the greatness of Purushakaram, that is Pirati, piLLai started explaining the greatness of Upayam, that is Bhagavan. As a part of that, as prapaththi was discussed, highlighted, piLLai starts explaining about prapaththi in detail. Prapaththi is nothing but Sharanagati, surrender. Though there are subtle differences which are highlighted in some granthams between prapaththi and Sharanagati, generally we can say that they are similar and they carry the same meaning and purpose. So this prapathti's greatness is highlighted, its nature, its greatness, all of that are highlighted in this section which we are now seeing. In that, we have seen in several sutrams that prapaththi does not have any precondition on where it is done, when it is done, how it is done, who is doing it, and what is the expectation of the prapaththi, what is the result expected out of the prapaththi. So surrender can be done wherever one is, whenever one can, in whatever way one is able to do, he can do it or she can do it, and the person can be of any nature, of any background, one's birth or one's wealth or one's knowledge, none of that decides whether he can do Sharanagati Prapaththi or not. And then finally, the result, it can be done for whatever result one desires for. So all of these were highlighted in 23rd Sutram, and subsequently in 24th Sutram, piLLai explained that there is only Vishaya Niyamam, that is the rule regarding Prapaththi is who do we surrender to? That is the only focus. One should surrender to a qualified authority, that is Bhagavan. So only Bhagavan is the proper refuge for our surrender, for our prapaththi. So that is explained. And then piLLai explained in 25th Sutram that for Karma Yogam, there are various preconditions. When Karma Yogam is highlighted, it can be applied for all other upayantras, all other upayams such as Jnana Yogam, Bhakti Yogam, Tirunama Sankirtanam, Deshavasam, all of these, they have various restrictions. Who can do, when it can be done, and so on. So here, for karmam, for any Vaidika activity, which is a part of Karma Yogam, Jnana Yogam, Bhakti Yogam, and so on, there are so many restrictions based on desham and qualification. That is, for karmam, any Vaidika karmam to be done, one has to do it in certain holy, sacred places, such as river, holy rivers, banks on the holy rivers, and sacred places of Bhagavan, and so on, Punyakshetrams. And then there are certain time restrictions. This particular Jyotish Tomam has to be done during Vasanta Kalam, that is spring season, and so on. So there are such and such restrictions for that. And then there is restrictions such as Traivarnika. Only Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas can do Vaidika karmas. Others are not qualified to do. So there are such restrictions in Vaidika karmas, which are part of all Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and so on. And then 26th Sutram, piLLai showed that as we see in Vibhishana Sharanagati, that he was accepted in late in the night, he was accepted in the camp where they were staying for preparing themselves to the battle with Ravana. So Sri Rama was in that camp. So the place doesn't matter, the time doesn't matter. So these two aspects, Desham and Kalam, such restrictions are not there, could be understood from Vibhishana Sharanagati, that was explained in 26th Sutram. And then 27th Sutram, piLLai explained that in Mantra Ratnam, that is Dvayamaha Mantram, this principle of uh, no need for a particular place or time, that is explained in Prathama Padham, the first word in Mantra Ratnam, that is in Srimad Sabdham. Pirati is always with Bhagavan, waiting for Jivatmas to approach them, so that she can connect Jivatma and Paramatma. So because Pirati is present always, it is clear that in any place it can be, prapaththi can be done, and at any time it can be done. So we have seen up to that. Now we have to see from 28th Sutram, just recollected whatever we discussed in the previous session, so that we have these fresh in our mind, so we can continue on with the next sections. Now we will move on to 28th Sutram. prakAra niyama rahityam. That is, no need for a proper disposition of the Jivatma. That is highlighted by piLLai here in this Sutram. So, prakAra niyathi illai ennumidam engum kANalAm. There is no restriction on how the person is doing prapaththi. That is, that restriction is not there. And this can be seen everywhere. There are so many examples, says piLLai. And he further explains in the next Sutram. We will see that. First, we will see Mamnigal's Vyakyanam for this particular Sutram. It's a very short explanation. prakAra niyathi. prakAra niyathi means rules based on the individual's disposition or the process which is being followed by the individual before performing prapaththi. So that can be seen everywhere. What does everywhere mean? Everywhere means those who practice prapaththi and those who hear about prapaththi. In all of these cases, we can see that. That is what Mamnigal explains. This is because piLLai himself is going to explain about these principles in the subsequent sutrams, where Mamnigal will elaborate the examples in detail. So that is 28th Sutram. Now 29th Sutram. There is a question to piLLai. Where did we see that? Where did we see that there is no niyathi based on prakAra? There is no restriction based on the individual's disposition and the process. So where did we see? That was the question. For that, piLLai is showing the examples from previously discussed items. We have discussed some of these. That is the incident of Draupadi, incident of Arjuna. We have seen both of these incidents, how they interacted with Bhagavan Krishna, what kind of relationship they had with Krishna. All of that was discussed before. Based on these previously seen situations, piLLai is highlighting some examples. Two examples here. திரௌபதி snAthaiyayanRE prapaththi பண்ணிற்று. Arjunan நீச்சர் naduvEyiRE ivvartham kEttadhu. So two examples are shown. One example is for the act of prapaththi. Draupadi did Sharanagati to Krishna. At that time, how did she do the prapaththi? So that was one example. And then another example is about the one who is hearing about prapaththi. Bhagavan gave Gitopadesham to Arjuna. At that time, Arjuna was the one who received all these instructions. And what was his situation at that time? So those two aspects are explained here. It is explained that Draupadi, when Draupadi surrendered to Bhagavan in the court of Dhritarashtra, at that time, she was having her periods, menstrual days. So it is generally considered as unclean period. And during that time, usually women are remaining in isolation and they don't engage in any auspicious activities. They take rest during those days and they care for their body fully. So this is the situation. And that time she performed prapaththi. So this is an example for how prapaththi is done irrespective of one's situation. And then second example is Arjuna, he heard about prapaththi from Bhagavan amidst very, very lowly people. So these two examples are highlighted by piLLai here. Arjuna heard the meanings of prapaththi in the battlefield amidst the all the Kauravas, all the warriors from various kingdoms. They're all considered as very, very lowly because they did not have any faith in Bhagavan. Hence, they are considered as lowly. So we are going to see that in vyakhyanam. So in these two cases, we can understand that there is no particular situation which stops one from performing prapaththi. So that is explained here in this sutram. Let us see Mamnigal's commentary. It's a very beautiful commentary. Mamnigal brings out these principles very, very nicely. Let us see the commentary here. Now, with these two sentences, Draupadi snAthaiyayanRE prapaththi பண்ணிட்டு and Arjuna நீச்சர் naduvEyiRE ivvartham kEttadhu. With these two sentences, this principle is explained. Now, snAthaiyayanRE prapaththi பண்ணிட்டு. First, that is explained. When she was she was pulled into the assembly, into the royal court by Dushasana. Dushasana is the younger brother of Duryodhana. He was the one who went to Draupadi's place, Antahpura, where she is residing, her private quarters, and she grabbed her and she pulled her to the court. She dragged her to the court. At that time, the Pramanam is quoted here that she herself says to Dushasana that I am now going through my periods. So this is a time for me to rest. Nobody should interact with me. You should not be touching me. So I will not tolerate you bringing me to the court, you taking me, dragging me to the court like this. So she herself said with her weeping situation, she was weeping and she was saying this to Dushasana. So when she was having aSudhdhi at that time, when she is not clean, when she has not taken bath, usually those 3 days the women will not take bath. So I mean, we are looking at situations in the olden days. Nowadays, we cannot say all of these things, but generally that is the situation. When she is not clean, at that time she did not perform prapaththi after taking bath. At that time, when she was in danger, she did not say, let me take bath and then I will surrender to Krishna. She just spontaneously surrendered to Krishna. So that is the explanation here. So at this, with this example, it is understood, it is explained that whoever does prapaththi, he or she should not be clean. They should not purify themselves before performing prapaththi. In whatever situation they are, they can do prapaththi. So that is explained here. Next example, nIsar naduvEyiRE ivvartham kEttadhu. So here, Nicha means very lowly, very fallen persons. So why are they, the people in the battlefield, why are they called as Nicha? Why they are called as lowly people? That is because, as per Alvar's words, Thirumangai Alvar's words, Nadundagayai Ninayadar Nishar. Those who don't think about Bhagavan, they are called as Nicha. They are called as lowly because they are missing out on the greatest benefit in the world. That is to think about Bhagavan, to relish about the thoughts on Bhagavan and so on. They are missing out on all of that. So they are highlighted as Nicha by Alvar himself. So as said by Alvar, Shauri Chinta, um, those who don't think about Bhagavan. Here, Shauri Chinta is from Shaunaka Samhita, where it is said, Na Shauri Chinta Vimuka Jana Samvasa Vaisasham. So, this particular suffering of not thinking about Bhagavan, this is the greatest suffering one can go through. So, there it is explained that these people, all these people in the battlefield, they are not thinking about Bhagavan, hence they are considered as lowly people. They are considered as Heya. Heya means with defects. They are with defects. Now, there are other quotes here to highlight what is uh, greatness and what is inferiority, what is superiority and what is inferiority. So, a couple of pramanams are quoted to highlight that being devoted to Bhagavan is great, irrespective of one's position. Similarly, being devoid of devotion towards Bhagavan is will lead to lowliness, irrespective of whatever position one may be having in the society. So, a couple of pramanams are quoted here. Vishnu Bhakti Vihinastu Yatischa Swapajadamaha. So, this is from uh, Sri Bhagavatam. In Bhagavata Puranam, this is highlighted that one who is Vishnu Bhakti Vihinastu, one who is lacking Vishnu Bhakti, even though he may be a sannyasi, he may be in the order of renunciate, he may have given up everything in this world and taken up sannyasa ashramam. But if he lacks Vishnu Bhakti, if he is not a devotee of Vishnu, if he does not accept the greatness of Vishnu and praise him and worship him, then he will be considered as uh, lower than a swapacha. Swapacha means uh, one who eats dog, Chandala. It is said in as Chandala. If someone is even yati but lacks Vishnu Bhakti, he is considered lower than Swapacha, Chandala. That is explained from Sri Bhagavatam. And then there is another pramanam, Anacharan, Duracharan, Agyatrun, Hina Janmanha, Mad Bhaktan Shrotriyo Nindan, Sadhyaha Chandalatam Brajet. So this another pramanam is quoted here. This quote is different. Vishnu Vipra Dvishat Gunayudad Aravinda Nava Padharavinda Vimukha Swapacham Varishtam. This pramanam also says the same thing. Those who are not surrendered to, whether it is Vipra, whether it is anyone, twice born anyone, if one lacks devotion towards the Aravinda Nava, one who has lotus in his navel, that is Padmanabha, then he is lower than a Swapacha, a Chandala, who is having devotion towards Bhakti. towards Vishnu. If there is a Chandala who is devoted towards Vishnu, and there is someone else who is great in many aspects, he is highly qualified Brahmana, he's got all the good qualities which may be expected in society, yet if he lacks Vishnu Bhakti, then that person will be lower than a Chandala who is having Vishnu Bhakti. And then there is an Anacharan, Duracharan, that will be also explained here. Subsequently, we will see that. So here, Bhagavat Vimukha, those who are not having devotion towards Bhagavan, they are considered as Nicha. Hence, here piLLai is saying Nichar Naduve, that is, amidst all the lowly people who are not having devotion towards Bhagavan. So, are they not having devotion towards Bhagavan? That is the question. For that, we know the answer. Everyone knew Bhagavan as incarnated as Krishna, but none of them respected his position. They all started to fight against him. Imagine if Bhagavan is standing in front of him and we start fighting him, then obviously we'll become Nicha. So that is the position of all the people in the battlefield. Amidst such people, Arjuna heard the Shastram of prapaththi, Sharanagati Shastram, which is Gitopadesham. So that is what is explained here. And then further, this other shlokam, anacharan duracharan ajnatrun hina janmanah madbhaktan shrotriyo nindan sadyah chandalatam vrajete. Those who witness the abuse of my devotees, those who engage in such abuse, those who are abusing my devotees, seeing them is also not recommended. And even such persons, even if they are Brahmana, if they abuse my devotees, they will become a Chandala, says Shastram. That is from um, Brahmanda Puranam. That Pramanam is also quoted by Manaval Mamnigal here. So this is explained because all of these people, Duryodhana, Dushasana, all of these people, they abused Draupadi because they abused a person who is surrendered and they insulted her, and they also abused the Pandavas who are also surrendered to Bhagavan. Even though Bhagavan is angry on Pandavas, they are still surrendered to Bhagavan. So when they, Duryodhana and all of the other brothers of Duryodhana, when they were all harming and hurting Pandavas greatly, that is a cause for them to become very very lowly. So they are as good as Chandalas, says this in here. Mamligal explains that based on this pramanam. So these people are known as Karma Chandala. He is going to explain. piLLai is going to explain Janma Chandala and Karma Chandala. Janma Chandala means one who is born in a Chandala family and he is taken birth due to his karma and he is living like that. But Karma Chandala means one who is born in a good family, yet due to his acts, he become he becomes a Chandala. He becomes at par with the Chandala. So his acts lead to such inferiority for him. So such people are present in the battlefield. Amidst such people, Arjuna heard prapaththi. So both of these examples show that prapaththi can be heard and it can be practiced at whatever situation one may be. One need not change one's position before performing prapaththi. One can do in whatever situation one is. That is the principle being explained. Here, Mamnigal further explains, Nietzsche Sprihtiyal. So here the Ashuddhi Arjuna is having is because being touched or being in contact with Nietzsche, that is very lowly people in the battlefield. All of these are not devoted to Bhagavan. Because of being present with them, he has acquired this lowliness. So it can be accepted or understood that it is not a natural Ashuddhi in Arjuna, but he acquired this because of his situation. So that is also explained here. And finally, it is explained that while hearing about prapaththi, there is no such restriction that it cannot be heard about nature. So, for example, if there is a very, very merciful acharya, a person who is very caring, and he explains the Shastram of prapaththi to someone who is very interested to hear about it, but surrounding that particular place, there is a lot of people who have hatred and who does not like all of this. Still, there is no restriction that this person should not explain to that person who is curious. He should continue to explain, and the person who is hearing should continue to hear, and at least he should be reformed, and he should eventually be able to, he will be able to even reform others. So there is no restriction that one should only explain about this Shastram, Prapathi Shastram to others, and one should hear only in a very pure and sacred place. One can hear about Prapathi in whatever situation one may be, and one can practice Prapathi in whatever situation one may be. So that principle is explained in this 29th Sutram. Next is 30th Sutram. In this Sutram, another important aspect is going to be explained by Mamnigal. Let us see that. 30th Sutram's introduction by Mamnigal first. Now, what is explained by this particular Sutrams? That is, Prapathi can be performed anywhere and Prapathi can be heard anywhere. So, what is explained by this? That particular aspect is explained by piLLai in this Sutram, in the 30th Sutram. AgaiyAl Sudhdhi aSudhdhigaL irundum thEda vENdA irundhapadiyE adhikAriyAm iththanai. So here it is said that Shuddhi and aSudhdhi, that is purity and impurity, one need not go and acquire that before performing prapaththi or before hearing about prapaththi. IrundhapadiyE adhikari, that is, one can do it in whatever situation one is. So that particular aspect is explained here. Mamnigal is going to explain a very subtle point here. This explains that if a person is pure, it is not that he should go and acquire impurity before performing Sharanagati. Similarly, if a person is impure, one should not seek to purify first himself and then only do prapaththi. That is what is explained here. It doesn't mean that one should remain impure and one should become impure before performing Sharanagati. So that particular subtle point is explained by Mamnigal beautifully in the Vyakyanam. Let us see that. So here, AgaiyAl means in these two situations, that is, while performing prapaththi and while hearing about prapaththi, in both these situations, what is to be done? That is, one can do prapaththi or one can hear about prapaththi in whatever situation one remains. No need to change one's position before doing it. Now, Shuddhi aSudhdhigaL iraNdum thEda vENdA. What does that mean? So when engaging in prapaththi or when hearing about prapaththi, a particular impure person need not go and first purify before doing that. So it is not a requirement. That is what is being explained here. Now we are going to see how Pancha Samskaram is done. We surrender through an Acharya. It is not that we wake up in the morning and then without taking bath and without putting Udapundram and without dressing properly, we go to the Acharya and request him to perform Pancha Samskaram for us. That is not what is explained here. What is explained is, in whatever situation one may be in, one can surrender to Bhagavan at his heart, in his heart level, in his mind level. Now the process of prapaththi, whatever has to be followed, that has to be followed. So that is not the scope here. The scope is to surrender to Bhagavan purely. One can remain in whatever situation and do it. So that's what is explained here. Prapaththi, while engaging in prapaththi, one who is impure need not purify and do prapaththi at that time. Similarly, if one is pure, one need not go and seek impurity. So I should not really engage in very lowly activities, become a lowly person and only then do prapaththi. We should not think like that. As a matter of fact, we are already impure. We are already filled with doshams, defects. So we need not anyway search for that. But in general, even if someone is pure, if such purity should not be disturbed to surrender. He should not go and take up impurity before surrendering. That is what is explained here. So this is to clarify the doubt that someone may think that, oh, maybe we should earn dirtiness, impurity before performing Sharanagati, because we see that both Draupadi and Arjuna, they were in a situation which is not conducive for prapaththi, which is impure. So one may think that, oh, one should be in such situation to engage in prapaththi. So to clarify that such doubt, Mamnigal is again emphasizing, saying that by piLLai words, here we can understand that one need not seek either purity or impurity. One can do it as in whichever situation one is in. So irundhapadiyE adhikAri, that is explained here again. So while performing prapaththi, whatever situation one is in, whether one is in impure situation or whether one is in pure situation, one can in that situation itself engage in prapaththi. So both Draupadi and Arjuna, both of them, in Arjuna's case, it is hearing about prapaththi. In Draupadi's case, it is about performing prapaththi. In that particular situation, they performed without doing any additional act. Because of this, we can understand that we need not have any particular adhikari qualification, that is, any new aspect need not be added before performing Sharanagati. Only thing which is required is helplessness and accepting that we are inferior and we are taking up the help of Bhagavan. That is the only thing which is required. So that is explained in this 30th Sutram. And then 31st Sutram. This 31st Sutram is a very nice Sutram. It is an incident from the life history of Purvacharyas, where piLLai is identifying how an Acharya named vettip piLLai requested clarification about this particular aspect about prapaththi from Nampiள்ளai, and how Nampiள்ளai gave the particular answer. That is highlighted here in this particular Sutram. Let us see the Sutram. Let us see the introduction by Mamnigal first. Here in this particular matter, that is about prapaththi being done in whatever situation one is in, that particular aspect is highlighted, established or reminded using aptavachanam. Aptavachanam means the words of a trustworthy person, the words of a Purvacharya. That is the scope of this particular Sutram. Let us see the Sutram, 31st Sutram. இவ்விடத்திலே வேல்வெட்டி பிள்ளைக்கு பிள்ளை அருளி செய்த வார்த்தையை ஸ்மரிப்பது. இவ்விடத்தில் means in this particular context. வேல்வெட்டி பிள்ளைக்கு, for வேல்வெட்டி பிள்ளை. Velvetti Pillai is a particular Acharya in our Sampradayam, who is probably lesser known compared to other Acharyas, but he is a SrIvachana who lived in the times of Nampiள்ளai Lokacharya. So, for Velvetti Pillai, Pillai Aruli Cheida Vartai. Pillai means Nampiள்ளai here. Nampiள்ளai mercifully explained this particular principle. You think about that and remember what Nampiள்ளai said. That is the Sutram. Now, without Mamnigal's commentary, it is difficult to trace this particular incident. Mamnigal brings out this incident from Guru Parampara Prabhavam. This particular incident is explained in Guru Parampara Prabhavam. He is gathering that information and is documenting it as it is here. Let us see Mamnigal's commentary. Here, this particular information is present in Vyakyanams also. There are some places where in Vyakyanam this incident is explained. The situation is this. Velvetti Pillai is a SrIvachanava. He has a doubt about why Sri Rama did prapaththi, Sharanagati, towards Samudra Raja, towards the king of oceans, before crossing over to Lanka. He wanted to build a bridge. At that time, he wanted to get the permission of Samudra Raja. So he performed Sharanagati to Samudra Raja. At that time, he took bath, he faced eastern direction and performed Sharanagati in the proper way. So this particular aspect is bothering Velvetti Pillai. It is said by Purvacharyas that one need not have any particular change in situation before performing Sharanagati. Now, why did Rama do all of this, like taking bath, purifying himself, and then doing Sharanagati? So, that is the question. Now, it is explained in Vyakyanams that he had this doubt and he did not want to ask this doubt to anybody. So, he sent a message through another Sri Vaishnava to Nampillai, who was placed in a different place than Srirangam. He had gone to some other place from Srirangam. He had sent a message to Nampillai writing that I am asking you this question. I don't have the courage to go and ask this to anyone else because someone may think that I don't even know this simple principle. So kindly give the answer. He sent this message through a Sri Vaishnava to Nampillai. For that, Nampillai responds. And his explanation is that Sri Rama is of the nature that he is always perfect in his anushtanam. He always purifies himself. He is always engaged in proper ritualistic steps. Because of his nature, he did all of that. And hence, we cannot say that it is a prerequisite. Because of his nature, he did that. But the same Vibhishana who instructed Rama to do Sharanagati, because Vibhishana Alvan had joined Sri Rama's party at that time. He had crossed over, and he said, he is the one who suggested, maybe you should surrender to Samudra Raja and ask him to give permission, grant permission. Because he is used to performing surrender, his surrender succeeded. Hence, he suggested to Sri Rama, and Sri Rama took up that suggestion and he surrendered. Now, the same Vibhishana, he did not take bath before coming and surrendering to Sri Rama. So, we can see that Vibhishana Alvan did not take bath, did not do any other purification ritual before surrendering, but Sri Rama did. So, we can understand that it is by nature Sri Rama did that, and it is by his nature Vibhishana Alvan did not take bath or anything along that line. Hence, based on individual's nature, they did that, and it is not something which is done as a prerequisite. That is the explanation given by Nampillai. Let us see Mamnigal's Vyakyanam, where he takes us through this particular incident beautifully. So, when Perumal decided to surrender to Samudra Raja, king of ocean, at that time he followed all the proper processes such as facing east, took bath, performed all his anushtanams, and then he surrendered. So, when he does that, does it mean, the question here is, does it mean that just as other upayams like Karma Yogam, Jnana Yogam, Bhakti Yogam, where there are prerequisites for Karma Yoga, we have to do all the proper rituals, all this proper Ashtanga Yogam and all of that. So similarly for prapaththi also, are there rules and regulations like that? That is the question by Velvetti Pillai. For that, Nampillai responds, now whatever we see in Perumal, this is not something which he artificially accepted or he processed because he has to process it. He has to do it. He took up these aspects because it is natural for him. It is because of his nature he performed all the steps which involved taking bath and facing eastern direction and surrendering to Samudra Raja in that particular manner. But the same Vibhishana Alvan who instructed Perumal, that is Sri Rama, to perform Sharanagati, Samudram Raghavo Raja Sharanam Gantumarhati. So here Vibhishana is the one who said to Sri Rama that this Samudra Raja is the apt person towards whom you should surrender. So because he said that, now such Vibhishana Alvan himself did not take bath before surrendering to Bhagavan. As soon as he left Ravana's palace, he flew and he came over to the camp of Sri Rama and he stood in the Akasha, in the sky, and requested all the um, Vanaras who are present there, to go and inform Sri Rama that he has come to surrender to Sri Rama. So same person who suggested Sri Rama to perform surrender, Sharanagati, he himself did not take bath. So from this we can understand that because Sri Rama is coming in the Ikshvaku Vamsham, he is coming in this traditional dynasty of Ikshvaku dynasty, who are Achara Pradhana. That is, they are very highly disciplined. They have great good conduct. Because of that, he followed all the prerequisites to perform surrender. Because Vibhishan is coming in the Rakshasa clan, he does not have any proper discipline. Hence, he did not perform surrender while he did not take bath, and while he surrendered, he did not do any of the processes. Hence, from this we can understand that depending on one's situation, one may follow the prerequisites before Sharanagati, or follow rituals before Sharanagati, purify themselves before Sharanagati, or one may not do it because one is not used to it, or one does not know how to do it. So from this we can understand that for a yogya, for a person who is qualified, he should not give up his qualification to surrender, and for a person who is not qualified, he need not earn qualification before surrendering. So that is the principle to be understood, that there are no prerequisites, whether it is earning qualification or giving up qualification, none of that is required. Only thing which is required is the surrender should be done with pure intention to the person who is apt to receive this surrender, to give protection. That is the only principle to be accepted. So this is explained by Nampillai to Velvetti Pillai. So with this sutram, 31st sutram, we understand that prapaththi has no prakara niyamam. So desha niyamam, kala niyamam, prakara niyamam, all these three are explained so far, or the non-requirement of desha niyamam, kala niyamam and prakara niyamam, they are explained so far, and then adhikari niyamam and pala niyamam will be explained subsequently. We will see it in the next sessions. ஆழ்வார் எம்பெருமானார் ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம், பிள்ளை லோகாச்சாரியர் திருவடிகளே சரணம், ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம், ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். We'll stop with this today and we'll continue on in the next session. There is a question about how do we know whether a person who is reciting the names of Bhagavan is pure or not. That is the question. We may not know. It is not possible for everyone to know about everyone else. We just generally have to recognize the external identity, their external conduct. That is the first level of identification for us to understand about a particular person. Now, if the person is really not genuine, the person is not doing it in a genuine manner, or the other, it will be known to the entire world, or it will be at least revealed to us. Bhagavan will reveal to us through some means or the other. So at that time we can try to be cautious, and how we can try to avoid interactions with such persons. Generally, we have to respect anyone who is wearing external symbols, reciting Bhagavan's names, Bhagavan's glories, whoever it is. Generally, we have to respect them. But if it is obvious and we come to know that someone is not genuine, then we have to treat such persons with caution only. We cannot freely interact with such persons. Even in our Sampradayam, there are different levels. Though we should not judge devotees, it is explained that devotees can be classified based on one's situation, one's purity, sambandha yogya, sahavasa yogya, sadhanubhava yogya, and so on. So there are people whom we can just see and interact with them. We can offer pranams to them. Anyone who is having devotion externally, if we see them, we respect them. And then those who are little bit more advanced, who can give us knowledge, who can interact with us, share meaningful experiences and incidents from Purvacharya's lives and so on. They are known as Sahavasa Yogya, those whom which we can reside together, stay together, interact and share our experiences and so on. And then there is Sadhanubhava Yogya. Sadhanubhava Yogya means those who are highly advanced, who are able to guide others, who are able to genuinely help others and so on. Those people are known as Sadhanubhava Yogya. That means who are qualified to be thoroughly enjoyed by us, thoroughly enjoyed by us, thoroughly served by us, thoroughly worshipped by us. So these three categories are highlighted in our Purvacharya Granthams. Again, these judgments should not be just superficial judgment. One should understand, depending on one's interactions with devotees, how close they are, how they move with us, and how uh, we come to know about them from others. If we know some very good personalities, who very good Vaishnavas, if they have respect towards certain Vaishnavas, then we can trust. There is a trust factor in all of this, so we have to go with the trust factor. So generally, we should not disrespect anyone. We should try to treat anyone irrespective of their birth, their gender, their knowledge, irrespective of all of that. We should treat people uh, respectfully. But if we come to know that someone is faking the whole thing, if someone is not genuine, then we have to stay away from them and avoid interactions with them and so on. It's a bit complicated. It is not very easy. I hope I answered it to some extent. Yes, food restrictions are there. Once we surrender, food restrictions are there. Even without surrender, generally in Shastram, Ahara Niyamam is very much emphasized. Anyone who want to be even normally in a noble mindset, in a mind situation, one should eat Satvika Aharam only. Specifically for Prapannas, all of these are very much applicable. Anything which is mentioned in Shastram, it is more applicable for Prapanna than anyone else, because Prapanna means surrendered a person who is totally dedicated to Bhagavan. So such Prapannas should certainly follow the orders of Bhagavan and orders of Shastram. So there are so many restrictions. Satvika Aharam. Recently we were hearing in Bhagavad Gita also um, about the three types of food: Satvika food, Rajasa food, and Tamasa food. Food which is stale, food which is not offered to Bhagavan, food items which are which have lost their natural taste, food items which have been there for very long duration. These kinds of food and these kind of food should be certainly avoided. Very hot food, very salty food, all of these should be avoided. Vegetables also, we know that there are Vaidika vegetables which have been there traditionally. If we ever have doubt, we just see what practices followed in temples where we, in Dividesham temples, in which vegetables they are using. Those are the normally Vaidika vegetables. Those are the only vegetables we can use at home also. Whatever we see people use in the temples, in the Videshan temples and so on. There may be Deshacharam, like slight differences in practices in south, north, whatever different places, but general rules will be applicable. So these vegetables, and also we can know that, for example, when we do Shraddham at home, we only use certain vegetables because they are the Vaidika vegetables. We don't use like potato, tomato, carrot, and so on during important festivals and Shraddham like that. So we know that those are, everyone knows what the vegetables which we should not eat. And so we just have to put that in practice. It is very important to have ahara niyamam. Main condition, main principle we have to follow is whatever we eat should be offered to Perumal. That is very, very important. At home, whatever we prepare food, any preparation that should be first offered to Perumal, then only we should eat. And outside food we should ideally avoid, because we know that there are so many situations under which the food may be prepared that is not good for the physical health as well as health of the atma. So ahara niyamam is very, very important. There is one article in our website itself. If you send a message in WhatsApp, I will send the link to the article. It is available in ponnadi.blogspot.com. There is a article on ahara niyamam, which gives a guideline. It's not exact uh, full details, but it gives some guidelines on what to eat and what not to eat. Okay. So any other questions? We'll see. Otherwise, we'll close the session. எம்பெருமானார் தரிசனம் என்று எய்தற்கு நம்பெருமாள் பெயரிட்டு நாட்டி வைத்தார் அம்புவியோர் இந்த தரிசனத்தை எம்பெருமானார் வளர்த்த அந்த செயலறிகா அடியன் ராமானுதாசர். At 2 o'clock, we have another session. We completed Divya Prabandham introduction series for every Vishagam. From today, being Vishagam, we are going to start Stotra Granthams, an introduction. So it's going to be a series of discussions where we'll discuss about Purvacharya Stothrams. It will be in Tamil. Purvacharya Stotrangal, அதை பற்றிய ஒரு அறிமுகம், என்னென்ன ஸ்தோத்திரங்கள் எந்தெந்த ஆச்சாரியர்கள்லாம் பண்ணியிருக்காங்கிறத பற்றி இன்னைக்கு 2 மணிக்கு பார்க்க போகிறோம். யாருக்கு முடியுதோ ஜாயின் பண்ணுவோம். இன்னைக்கு கீதை கிளாஸ் கிடையாது, ஏன்னா இந்த திருவிசாக சத்சங்கம் இருப்பதனால கீதை கிளாஸ் இல்லை.